Hey everyone, this is Chris. I wanted to go over a quick rundown of the Reaper MIDI controller MIDI map project, this gigantic thing I was working on basically all throughout 2019. I made a couple videos of it showing the Maschine MK3 and basically what each button did and knob and encoder. And then I made a longer video without talking, showing the Maschine Studio in action and basically how it controls Reaper. So this, without babbling about everything, this is the PDF guide that is included in all the files. You can see all the controllers that are supported. There's quite a handful. Native Instrument stuff, Novation, Arturia, some Behringer, and some Akai. And I'm just going to fly through the guide real quick. And this is the controller that basically started everything. Because when I got the Mark III and I saw how configurable, the controller editor made it, you could just literally map everything, including this very handy four-way encoder, like joystick too. This is basically how it works. These are the mappings. Everything's like MIDI continuous controllers. Sometimes MIDI notes on a channel other than MIDI channel 1, because MIDI channel 1 can be conflicting with a lot of things. So basically, I'll just go through really quick how everything's mapped. And I got Reaper open too. So I might reopen this PDF guide so I can remember everything I wanted to talk about in this video, because it's a lot of stuff. So basically, I just became obsessed with trying to get every controller that had an editor just mappable to control Reaper in some way. And I stumbled upon some Reaper forum post where the guy talked about how he wanted like two endless encoders to be track scroll up and down, and then also like jogging left and right. Or actually, I think he just said track scroll. So I was like, well, if that can be done, what if jogging left and right in the timeline could also be done? So basically, I'll just demonstrate everything. So this four-way encoder, when you spin it, just jogs the timeline by a bar. There's a bunch of pages here. Like, there's literally 17 pages of parameters. So this first page is items. So this is basically what everything does. This is quantize. So if you record MIDI, just a MIDI clip, it's like a quick way to quantize. And then this is quantize within a time selection. This is make a time selection into a region. This is select item. Basically, I'll demonstrate that when I drop in like a loop or whatever. Duplicate item, split item, glue item, and then trim right edge. And then the second page is basically previous item or next item on the selected track. You could just kind of like, this item, that item, select any of that stuff. Trim left edge. And then these are the same exact things as page 1. Select item, duplicate item, split, glue, and trim right edge. And I'm just going through the buttons first. I'm not going through the encoders yet, because the buttons are very handy. This third page is just called markers, direct access, and previous next marker. So basically marker 1 through 6, and then previous marker, next marker. This right here is play region 1 through 8. It's a custom action I made, so you can kind of use it as a performance tool in some way. Regions are amazingly powerful, and it's great. Like, I'll do that in a future video, demonstrate what that is. So then this page right here is called extra. This resets the master play rate to 1.0. This shows or hides the master track, metronome on and off. In general, I never use a metronome button because I just have it automatically enable when recording, because it's a waste of time to have it there. You only need it basically when you're recording. Play rate, preserve pitch and play rate. Wait, preserve pitch. I forget. Play rate PP. I forget what that stands for. Whatever. It's basically, I think it just means preserve pitch. Delete markers. That basically means delete all markers. Delete regions. Same thing. Previous project tab. Next project tab. Next page. These are just quick track templates. So it's like an instant one button to load a track template of your favorite plugins. Totally customizable for you. This page right here is volume and arm, tracks 1 through 8. So this is direct arm, tracks 1 through 8. This is the track volume 1 through 8. This right here is 9 through 16 on this page. Same thing, volumes, direct arm. This page is pan 1 through 8. You got your pan encoders, and then right here, this resets the panning to the center position for the selected track. And then this button makes all tracks pan center. This right here is all tracks at 0.0 volume, and then this one resets the volume to 0 on the selected track. This page right here is just more pan. It's basically just for tracks 9 through 16. This page right here is MIDI, MIDI page 1 basically. So these 8 encoders are MIDI learnable, channel 2, CC 6 through 13, which aren't used by Reaper at all. This right here is set the current track to MIDI channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 10 for drums. These blue buttons right here are cycle MIDI record mode, so that's like regular MIDI record, MIDI overdub, all that stuff. This is select and quantize. It basically selects the item and then quantizes it. This is select and edit. If this still works right, it basically like you select the MIDI item and then it'll bring up the MIDI editor, and then quantizes right there. This one is MIDI and automation, show and hide the I forget what they call it. You know, it's all the things you can automate. Automation write, automation trim read, latch, touch, and then open the envelope dialog. That's like, you know, again, all the stuff you can automate. Oh, I think show hide is the track. Any tracks that have automation on them, you can show or hide them. That's what that is. I haven't worked on this in like I don't know, 8 months because of the stupid pandemic. I've just been a little sidetracked, but this is just awesome stuff, and it's super powerful. So this MIDI page right here is mapped to 1 through 8. So this button is mapped to channel 1, mapped to channel 2, channel 3, all the way to channel 8. This again is MIDI learn down here, these encoders. This right here is like a totally open MIDI learn page, basically MIDI channel 14, CC 0 through 7, and then CC 41 through 48 for the encoders, and then 8 through 15, and then 51 to 58, all in channel 14, so you can do whatever you want. This right here is just for the complete control plugin, so if you don't have a capable controller by Native Instruments, you could previous and next preset, previous page, next page for the the parameters. And then all this stuff has to be on channel 1 because I think complete control only works on MIDI channel 1. But all these can be, your 8 encoders, just like if you had a complete control controller. And those are all the pages. Now again, this is like one of the most handy things. Just the encoder, just jog wherever you want. It's super handy. This right here, the touch strip, if it's zoomed. Hang on. Oh, I'm sorry. I should go through the encoders here. So on page 1, you got really handy encoder stuff. You have track volume for the selected track, the master volume, zoom vertically, zoom horizontally, jog left and right. That's the same exact function as this main encoder, but for right-handed people, because I'm lefty, I love using this. So for right-handed people, you could jog left and right exactly the same way. The only thing that sucks is it doesn't click because it's not a notched encoder. This is, which is super handy. Move item is really helpful. You just select the item and you can move it by grid. Track scroll is just literally track scroll up and down. So what I'll do right here is I'm just gonna make a few new tracks, fill everything up. And basically I have all my MIDI my tracks to automatically arm when selected, and they're already set to MIDI channel 1 when I insert them. I just love it that way. I think it's really handy. But I'm probably going to modify that. Anyway, all you Reaper geeks know exactly what I'm talking about. It's highly configurable. So track scroll and then semitone up and down. This is great for transposing loops on the fly. You just select the item and you just transpose it up and down. Just super awesome. And page 2, same exact parameters. Page 3, same exact parameters. Page 4, page 5 is where they change a little bit. So This is still jog left and right. This is still track scroll. That's still semitone, zoom, still. But these first two become the master play rate and then tempo by 1 BPM. And then this page is the same. That page is the same. And then it becomes, the volumes and the pans. But basically, I leave it on items most of the time, page 1, because I think that's really handy. So this is basically how track scroll works, just like you expect it to. I'm turning clockwise, I'm turning counterclockwise. It's just awesome to just kind of go through your tracks and just like know exactly what you need to do. Again, jog left and right, super handy. Up and down on the 4-way encoder is track select as well. If you don't want to scroll, you just can go up and down, just kind of like anchor your thumb or whatever, and you could just easily click up and down on that. Left and right is set to set grid size. Kenny from the Reaper videos, Kenny Gioia, he did like an awesome video about how he uses snapping and the grid. And it's funny, he just uploaded this basically yesterday, and like my thing is basically the same. So if you go left or right, it changes the grid to higher grid numbers. I think this is like 16th notes, that's 8th notes, quarter notes right there, half notes, a bar, you know what I'm saying? So you could left and right your joystick there and have all these maps, which I think is super handy. So then all the faceplate buttons are very, I tried to map everything to the most useful functions in Reaper that a lot of people would use, because it's just I sometimes I can't even like articulate my words, but it took a lot of thought to do all these actions and custom actions and stuff like that, because I just got obsessed with like configuring Reaper all throughout last year. It basically started, I think, in like late 2018 is when I started really messing around with it, and just I spent the whole of last year doing this. So okay, first of all, let me go through the groups. Okay, so the first group is pad functions, and they basically match the names of the functions that are actually on the pads. So basically, undo and redo are the two blue pads. Semitone up and down are these pads right here. Octave up and down. Hold on, I gotta consult my guide. So pad functions, it says for items. Let me zoom this in a little bit. For items, semitone, so semitone down, semitone up, octave down, octave up. This is a duplicate item, and this is glue item. And then right here, this is, wait, hold on. Clear, this is cleanup arrangement. I might modify that later, because it's kind of weird if you don't have a lot of tracks. This right here, clear auto, is actually remove time selection, so it kind of works as the escape key in Reaper. And then nudge, like these yellow ones. Nudge is set time selection start and end, which is pretty handy, and I'll explain more of that with the other faceplate buttons. The undo redo pads are obviously exactly that. Which ones did I miss? Copy and paste are... Oh no, copy is duplicate item, paste is glue item. And I think octave up and octave down do exactly that as well, transposing like MIDI items or audio items, whatever you want to do. Quantize, let me see. Yeah, that's quantize, and then quantize 50% functions as insert MIDI item. So whatever time selection you have, it inserts an empty MIDI item within the space of that time selection. That's pretty handy. And what else? Yeah, that's it for that. So that's pad functions. That's group 1, or group A. Group B is direct track select 1 through 16. Pretty self-explanatory. Group D is A minor. It's basically A1 all the way to A3. So it's a little on the lower side, but it's just real handy. It's just all completely mapped to a scale that a lot of people use, A minor. So group E is C0 start, really low. Group F, which is the one, my favorite one to use, this is C1, which maps to a lot of drum plugins and stuff. I just love that color, so I kept it as that, and that's C1 and up. And then group G is C2 and up, all chromatic. And group H is C3, which you know, obviously is really helpful for a lot of things too. I think Scalar and Scalar 2 automatically bind to, I'm pretty sure C3, which maybe C2. Yeah, I think Scalar binds to that, and then you know, C3 is obviously like middle C. So yeah, so those are all the groups. I usually keep it on F most of the time because when I'm, you know, doing drum patterns or whatever, that's definitely the way to go. C1 is kind of a universal map for drums. All right, so, you know, and then since this is zoomed in a little bit, you could see pretty much the extent that I went, you know, making this guide and just showing you like how crazy everything's mapped. It's just totally insane. So, you know, I'll explain all this, you know, what everything is. You know, let me bring up Reaper again. All right, so obviously transport is self-explanatory. Play is play/stop, which is the main Reaper function. Record is record. Stop is stop, and I think hide all automation lanes. So I think if you stop, it just kind of like, you know, cleans everything up. I think that's what that's assigned to. Follow/grid is set to repeat on and off, or everyone knows it as loop. So you can see on the Reaper screen there, top left corner, that's loop on and off. These two, erase and tap, are basically previous and next marker or previous and next marker region, which is really handy. And then restart is just rewind to the start. So say we're over here and the song's about measure 8 and you hit restart, just jumps right back to the beginning. So everything is really handy with all this stuff. And okay, so right here, this row of buttons, pitch, mod, perform, and notes, that's undo, set time selection start, set time selection end, and redo. And everything's labeled with this awesome, it's called paper tape. I got it from filmtools.com, I think. I love this stuff so much. It's like, it never leaves any residue, but it's like super sticky. So that's rad, and, you know, just really handy. Undo, redo. The volume and swing buttons are just track up and down, direct track up and down, just like the four-way encoder. Sometimes, you know, I strongly prefer to just track up and down with buttons, obviously. And you know, it's just so handy. Tempo is obviously tap tempo. Note repeat button is record arm for that selected track. So let me just demonstrate how this works. So I just disarm track 1, I arm track 5, arm track 1, disarm track 5. You get the idea. You know what I mean? This right here, lock, is insert marker. So you can just insert a marker just by rotating the jog wheel. Very simple. All right. 10 markers easily made without, you know, using the mouse or anything. It's just super handy. Just turn the wheel, make a marker. Undo. All right. Going back. So let's see what else. Fixed velocity is cycle MIDI record modes, just like in one of the pages up top. Pad mode is cycle record, like regular record mode. So that's like regular record, and then time selection, auto punch, and the third one, whatever that is, I forget. I don't remember what these three things do, but it's probably in my guide. Let's see. Keyboard is toggle loop item source. So basically, if you don't want an item to loop, or if you want an item to loop, you just click that button after it's selected. Really handy. You don't have to right-click any menu and go through all that stuff. It's like an instant, you know, fix. Chords is paste playlist at cursor. So if you want to do a region playlist and you kind of, you know, like have like a bunch of short loops at the beginning of your project, you just scroll like to the end of your project where nothing is, and you can just paste a playlist, so you can paste your arrangement there. It's super handy. The Reaper, again, is just amazing that way. And then the step button right here is place cursor at current position depending on the zoom level. So that's cool. And hang on. So let me do a zoom out here, and then, oh yeah, that's right. I gotta throw a loop in. All right, so I'm just opening the Media Explorer. I'm gonna throw in just a simple hip hop beat. That's fine. All right, let's put it on this empty track here, and just drag it out. Now I'm using the mouse just to demonstrate, just to get a loop in here. Drag it out. There we go. So yeah, like right here, using the the touch strip is basically scrolling through your arrangement when there's items on the arrangement, so you can easily access any part of the arrangement without using the jog wheel, which is also handy, but it only goes so fast. Like a few turns get you to about 4 minutes at 90 beats per minute in a few turns. But most of the time when people are doing this, they don't want to jog the entire arrangement. They just want to kind of go, like here, there, like maybe do like a little hip hop loop, like live looping kind of thing at measure 9, and then go over to measure 25, do another. You know what I'm saying? Super handy. So that's just rad. I love that touch strip. Okay, so these vertical buttons, which obviously every machine user uses these very frequently. The first one is toggle windows. So what this does is it toggles any open plugin windows. Right there, there's the 2 towel plugins. So you just like see, there they are, there they're not, which is really handy. The pattern button is basically insert a MIDI clip. So if I had, like, let's say I'm doing this with the mouse, time selection 16 bars, and I hit pattern, it just automatically creates a new MIDI clip that's 16 bars long. Really handy. And then undo if you don't want that. It's very cool. So let's see, events, I think that brings up the MIDI editor if there is a MIDI clip. So let me see. I'm going to use the mouse just to quickly demonstrate this, but stupid dumb loop. Okay, so I'm going to erase that. I'm going to click this, and then if I click events, yep. Oh no, that brought up the plugin windows. So yeah, there's definitely some weird behavior sometimes. Maybe I mapped that to the same button. I think I did. Because it's just a lot of number memorization and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, so that doesn't do anything, or I need to fix that later. That's fine. Cycle windows is really handy. This is what the variation button does. So if you want to put a window in focus, which is handy for plug-in parameter adjustment, and then like bounce into another thing. There's like a John Tidy from the Reaper blog made a video about using endless encoder MIDI controllers and basically having total control and like total recall of like every parameter with any synthesizer you have active. And this basically just lets you bounce between the focused windows. So if I show the windows and I go to variation, now that the Tal Uno LX2 is the focus plugin, and now it's the Tal Noisemaker. You know what I'm saying? So that's really cool. It just literally like refocuses whatever window is at the top. And okay, so duplicate is obviously duplicate. I think it's mostly duplicate item, because I found that to be the most handy function. One of the most whatever. It's late. I'm doing this at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm a little tired, but I just wanted to get something out there because everyone's been asking me about it. Not everyone, but a lot of people are like, dude, are you going to make a video demonstrating this more? I'm like, yes, and I'm going to do it for every single controller too that I have. So duplicate, like let's say we want to duplicate that, this drum loop, literally, bam, like there it is. Now, what's cool is you could move, your jog wheel, duplicate it there, move it here, duplicate it there. You see what I'm saying? Very cool. And obviously Reaper does the whole crossfade, and when the tracks, kind of like get in the way of each other, that's a take lane thing. Not everybody's preference, but I like it that way. I think it makes things easier to see and navigate when you're working on a song. So select obviously is select. That's just like one of the buttons up there. Solo's the active track, as you can see. Bam. Mute's the active track, obviously. And so I think, and then the top left has a lot of good functions too. So the top left button is called Cycle FX. So what's cool about this is it will cycle the effect in your plugin window. So, but first, this is even more important. The plugin button is set to FX chain. So basically, any active track that's selected, in this case, track number 2. If I hit this, it'll pull up the plugin window for track 2, and it'll hide it when I hit it again. Very handy because we all get sick of, you know, like plug-in windows, you know, just taking over the whole screen. You can't see your song, your arrangement. Very, very handy. I love that. Also, if you click this four-way encoder, it does the same thing. Because I love that. So say you scroll to where you want, you know, and there's the plugin if you want to change anything. So I have that set to FX change, show or hide. So it's basically toggling the FX change view. Very cool. So now let's say you have it in view and you click cycle effects up here. Obviously there's the Valhalla Supermassive free plugin from them. Really cool. So you can basically just decide which one you want to work with. You know, and then when you close it with this button, it'll remember, you know, the configuration when you bring it back up, and that's just super handy because instead of mousing and clicking, you know, the plugin that you need, it's like you just go, okay, I need that one or this one. You know, it's just so much workflow. You know, saving time. That's the whole point of all of this for all of you guys and girls. So basically, those two buttons are really, really helpful. The arranger button basically just means zoom out full. That obviously doesn't work as intended right now. That's totally not what it's supposed to do. I have to you know, map that and just kind of redo the Reaper action. This one right here is just mixer, toggle the mixer. It's a button called mixer, so it might as well be the mixer. Browser is basically the media explorer, which I call the browser. Now here's what's cool. You can actually, using the jog wheel or the encoder, browse your samples. And if you like something, you could click the button and it'll put it on the track. As you can see, I'm putting these three, you know, just whatever. Look at that. So it just drops it like right on the track. And then you can just hide the browser at any time, just like that. So now you got these cool loops that you brought in without using the mouse at all. Very, very handy. Also, when you're in the browser, if you use the left four-way, wait, does that go back? I forget. Maybe not. Oh, no, this button right here, I think. Right, that goes back into, you know, like its main folder, and then this button right here goes into the folder, or also drops the thing into the timeline. Really handy, you know. So you can totally have like total Media Explorer browser control with this encoder, which I think is really helpful and fun. You know, again, it's Reaper. Like the customization and customizability of Reaper, it's insane. So then the sampling button is just quick quantize. File save is save. You know. And make sure you always need to, you know, file, like save project as, you know, always do that. Like never just save anything like where the files are all over your hard drive. Always put your songs inside a folder, like your Reaper project and your audio all inside a folder. It's always the smart way to go. Settings is Ripple, I think Ripple editing, I'm pretty sure, which I don't like to mess with. Yeah, there we go. It's like Ripple all tracks, I think, or selected tracks. I forget. I don't use that much because I've screwed up entire arrangements really badly by, you know, using Ripple editing wrong. I'm sure we all have at some point. But that's enable all tracks and then disable, I think. Auto is the envelope dialog for automation. So obviously that is such a handy view that we've all seen before. Basically just toggles it viewable and not viewable. A macro button is set to delete or remove. So let's say I want to delete all of these things all at one time. Since they're all selected, I just hit macro and they're gone. Very cool. So those, I think, are all the buttons, all the main function buttons. And it's just, man, it's super, super handy. Like, I'll demonstrate the trim right edge. So let's say I select this using the select button. Oh, I gotta make sure the track's selected. There we go. Select that little drum loop, and let's say, you know, I can, again, mouseless. I go to trim right edge up here, and it makes it that long. If I want to make my loop shorter and only 33 bars long, trim right edge. Done. You know what I mean? No mouse. As you can see, it's pretty dope. So yeah. I think that about wraps up this video for now, just getting you guys started with everything and just showing you how powerful this stuff is. I'm going to do it for every single controller that I own, and I own quite a handful. Basically, going back to the cover of this PDF, I will do one for the Studio, which is basically almost identical, but the jog wheel gives you a lot of options because it has like 6 different pages. The Mark II, still one of my all-time favorite MIDI controllers, powerful as hell. You know, it's basically exactly like this, just without the color screens. Maschine Jam, I don't mess with that enough, but I did map, you know, the encoder to stuff, and there's a bunch of like grid pages for certain functions. The last time I had that plugged in was probably a year ago, so I don't know. I don't know exactly how I mapped it. The Complete Control M32 is also supported, but it has fixed MIDI assignments on MIDI channel 1, which I hate because MIDI channel 1 conflicts with everything. You know, then the Micro Mark II is just awesome. I don't own a Micro Mark III, but I made a map for somebody because they asked me on like New Year's Day of 2020. They're like, yo, you know, this isn't supported. Can you do this for me? And I did, just because that's me. The Micro Mark II is definitely, I think, the more powerful of the microcontrollers because the left and right arrows give you like, that encoder becomes anything you want just by a quick left or right arrow. So it's like really, really, really handy. I always recommend people pick up one of those used instead of a Micro Mark III, you know, and plus you get a better screen. The Novation SL Mark III, that's my main MIDI keyboard. It's over here out of view. But that, yeah, it's so configurable. I wish it was a little more configurable, but, you know, hopefully down the road. I used to own a remote SL Mark I, the 37 key, so I made, you know, a template for that as well. And then I did an identical template for the Zero, even though I've never owned that. Novation Launch Control XL, I still have one of those. What I hate about the MIDI maps is you cannot set the buttons to trigger. They're only momentary or gate, which is just annoying. I wish they had more button options. Or no, it's not momentary or gate. Because that basically means the same thing. It's momentary and toggle, and those are kind of limiting button options, so I don't really dig those as much. The Arturia stuff is a little glitchy when you map it out, but it's pretty cool. I used to own a Keylab Mark II. I used to own an Essential 49 and a 61, and I did all the maps when I owned them, and then I still have my Minilab Mark II. BeatStep, same thing. The drum pads are basically like a lot of the basic functions for Reaper, and the encoders do, you know, whatever I map them to. BeatStep Pro, same thing, but you get 16 more step buttons, which are really handy. Sparkle or Spark LE is also supported, but it never remembers the MIDI map. So every time you disconnect the USB cable, it completely forgets everything. So you have to go into Arturia's MIDI control center. You know, basically grab, you know, like send the template there again and then close it, and then, you know, everything will work with Reaper. That's annoying. I don't know if that's an oversight from Arturia, but I wish that did not happen. So I used to own the X-Touch Compact by Behringer, so I mapped that a bit. I love the motorized faders, but I just didn't need them. And the Behringer X-Touch Mini is awesome. It's tiny. All those encoders could be absolute mode or relative mode. They all have like a soft click, so it's like really handy for like jogging or track scrolling. The buttons are also insanely configurable. You can use them as transport, or you could use them as anything else. This is, you know, it's not connected or anything, but basically I have it mapped almost like identical to, you know, Maschine. So, you know, like these things are track up and down, or file, you know, previous next, transport, media explorer, you know, the browse button. This is the jog. This is a jog for like a left-handed person, right-handed person. Track scroll, you know, transpose, all this stuff. And then when you push the buttons, they also do something. That one's a little too far in. It's not clicking. There we go. These are those chroma caps from DJ Tech Tools. And this one does not like this controller much, but the other ones are fine. I might put the original Behringer ones back. Yeah, so basically, and then the last two, the MPD32, I mapped that before I sold it. I had that thing for years. It was like a custom thing with like the thick fat pads. And the just recently I picked up the MPC Studio Black because that thing is pretty awesome for MIDI control as well. And yeah, so basically that's pretty much a rundown of at least the Maschine MK3 and how it works with Reaper. And it's just awesome, man. Track scroll, you know. Oh, here's move item. Let me demonstrate that. So we'll highlight this, and you just move item, and it just moves it by the grid. So let's zoom in, and the grid is set to 16th notes, so it basically just moves the item by a 16th note. Now if I make my grid bigger, like that, like say, you know, I think it's a bar, so now when I move item, it moves by a bar. Now it's not completely aligned because I probably screwed something up somewhere, but you could always, you know, just move it with the mouse if you need to. Just a quick tweak. There we go. But yeah, so basically, most of the time, as long as you don't mess with anything, it literally, you know, again, this is mouseless moving items, just really handy, you know. And that's again why I did this, to try to drastically improve workflow for producers, engineers, you know, casual home studio people, anything. It's like Reaper is so awesome and it's so powerful, and if you get the right controller connected to everything, you could just do anything you want with like probably 99% less mouse. So it's pretty dope. Let me know in the comments if you guys had any questions or requests, or you know, like anything. I'm happy to answer this. I'm trying to be a little more active on YouTube because I've actually figured out how to use OBS, you know, the open broadcasting software. So I get 2 camera angles, I get the screen right there, so it's really easy to do tutorials and demonstrations. And basically, yeah, I think it's really cool, and I hope you guys are as excited about all this stuff as I've been, even during this terrible, shitty pandemic, you know, and political climate, which is insane and totally back-asswards. You know, we got stuff like this to keep us happy, and this stuff has definitely been keeping me going through the craziness of the last year and a half. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and again, let me know if you had any questions at all, and I'm happy to answer. And you know, just shoot me an email. My email's themelodies@gmail.com. It's all one word, like the musical melodies. So yeah, hit me up, and I will see you soon in the next video, and stay safe and wear your mask. Love you guys and girls. All right, and I forgot my stop recording button. There it is. I'll see you soon.